I'm Sir Flowbojan Thunderhammer.
And I'm Teflon Frosthammer.
And I'm Cabbage Tidehammer.
And this
is
WAK.
If Amtgard knighthood means anything, you can't knife a motherfucker and keep it.
And the thing that people need to understand essentially about arts and sciences events is that your scores don't matter.
Do you want a black phoenix or a white phoenix?
Jeez, language, man. We're on a
nice.
freaking podcast, for fuck's sake.
Mind-blowing experience, right?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to WAK, a show where we discussed interesting topics from around the foam fighting world. I'm doing my best at this intro. Unfortunately, Flo is out sick today, but we are stepping outside of the Amtgard world for a little bit to talk to some folks from Jugger. Today we have with us Sebastian, or Seabass, and we have with us Claire. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
So nice to be here. Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. So the question we always start off with, and because we have several people here, I'm going to kick it off and we'll try to keep everything balanced. Claire, I'd like to start with you. Can you tell us how you got into Jugger and sort of what drew you into that?
Yeah, so I was living in Ireland at the time, and I was looking for just stuff to do, and I saw a post on Meetup for the local Jugger team there, and I decided to join. I came from a rugby background, so I was like, ooh, this is a sport that's like rugby plus nerds. It's like my kind of thing. And that was 8.5 years ago. So.
Oh, nice.
That's fantastic. So before you started playing Jugger, had you seen Blood of Heroes?
Nope.
Okay, so you saw what this was and thought, yeah, this sounds cool. And then did you eventually see the movie and go like,
eventually, yeah. It's a movie. Yeah.
It just ends. That's my beef with it, is it gets to a certain point and then it's just over.
There's a lot of things that could have been done better about that movie.
Sure. Seabass, what about you? Tell us how you got into Jugger. What brought you in?
Yeah, so my origin story is very weird. I was in an improv troupe, and a friend of mine who I did improv with was like, hey, I got this really weird game, and you're a big nerd. I bet you'd like to play it. So he brought me down to a field full of nerds fighting with sticks, and I never looked back. And that was about 4 years ago. Okay,
yeah, fair enough. That's a lot of Amtgarder's story.
Pretty classic.
Yeah. So same for you. At what point did you see Blood of Heroes? Was it before or was it after you'd started playing?
All right, so listen, this is going to be the blasphemy of the Jugger community, but the fact is, every single event that I have been to, everyone has refused to put the movie on for me, so I have yet to get the chance to watch it, and it makes me really sad. Every single post-tournament, I'm like, hey, can we watch Blood of Heroes? And nobody wants to put it on anymore, so I can't find anyone to watch it with me.
Yeah, it's because of the way the movie is.
You've got a whole new team of people. You gotta
Yes, Drenger Watch Party needs to happen for sure.
So I want to know, because a lot of Amtgarders are familiar with what jugging is, because we also have seen the movie and we sort of made our own offshoot of it. And then there's even like regional offshoots of jugging. Like we have Southern style jugging and some other stuff that's wrong. And so we all have our own variants. Tell us about how jugging works for you. I mean, do you guys use the exact same weaponry, or have you modified some of it? What are the typical rules you play by? We'll kick this off with Claire first, and we'll just tick-tock back and forth.
Yeah, so I've not been super exposed to Amtgard jugging, but the version we play, it's some of the main differences from what I understand are all our sticks are standardized, like around the world. Like we have 5 different, we call them Pumpfen because the sport really originated in Germany, right, and they get uncomfortable when you start talking about weapons.
Fair.
Okay.
And so you got 5 different Pumpfen, your Q-tip, long sword, sword and shield, staff, and chain. And so those are standardized around the world. The runners, the quicks, they're unarmed, but they can have like more or less full contact. So
oh, shit.
Like that's what I used. Well, from my rugby background, that's what I started. I was like, for the first 2 years I played, I was like perma quick.
Yeah, okay.
I went to
full contact quicks. We tried this once. Who wrestled?
It was me and E.
You and E?
Yeah.
Okay. Surprised he made it out alive. Okay, yeah, so we don't have the standardized weaponry, but we have pretty much the same kit minus the staff, I think. We don't have a stave. We have flails?
Well, from what I understand, too, is that
chain.
The staffs we don't have, right? they have like a longsword or two-handed longsword kind of thing that is definitely not anything we use. The closest would be our pole arms. I think your guys' two-handed sticks are like close to 6 foot, right? Something like that.
Something like that, yeah. 108 centimeters is the measure on those.
Gotcha. Man, I don't want to do conversions today.
I know since you guys are recording here, if you want to let me share a screen really quick, I actually have a picture of all of our equipment. So
excellent.
Oh, beautiful. Do I have to let you do that or will it? Yeah, okay, cool.
Yep. So yeah, here we go. So this is each one of ours and the standard dimensions for each of them.
It's going to be the best podcast we've ever done just because there's visuals.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We're Twitch streaming this, right?
Oh yeah. Yep, we got this. So the staff, as the kind of colloquial name for it, we also call it the slash, is your far left one here. That's going to be the most spear-like. And then you've got your Q-tip, the long or back charge, the short, the board, and then last but not least, the chain there on the far side.
Okay. So this actually is a pretty big distinction from Amtgard, where we have standardized weapon positions, but those weapons can't, like, there's not a universal length of sword.
Well, it's all short equipment.
Yeah, well, okay, but 36 to 18 inches, right?
Yeah.
So, and our chains are nowhere near as long.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that is actually fascinating. So, okay, quick can be full contact, you said, right?
Well, there are some regulations. Yeah, Claire, go ahead.
Yeah, there's like, you can't, obviously, like, no tackle around the neck. There's different versions, like how low you can go. Like some versions allow full, like, everywhere below the neck. Some don't allow you to go below the knee. But like, yeah, we're talking like full, like, rugby style tackling here.
Okay, so this gets me into then, how does your system, like your hit system work? And the reason I ask is, in Amtgard, we have a location-based system, so if I were to hit Jeff on the arm, he can't use that arm, and if he loses 2 locations like that, he's dead, or a single shot to the torso. In general is roughly how it works. How does your hit system work, and then how does, like, contact play into that?
So for us, it is light touch and first touch. So any contact to a valid hit zone, which is from the neck down and from the wrist ups, is going to count as a valid hit, and that will send you down for your marked time period. So we are very much about trying to get the hit in first rather than getting the hit hard or having location-based contact. Quicks, on the other hand, they can't get each other down unless they push each other out of bounds. So they're just going to continually wrestle until somebody comes out with the skull or somebody gives up. Or they get hit by a different enforcer.
Yeah, okay.
So we have positions based on equipment. And it looks like you guys can... the quicks obviously are unarmed, but everyone has a chain, and then it seems like everything else is kind of up to the team. Is that correct? Or are there actual positions?
Yeah, everything can be... You kind of play anything wherever. There's certain kind of roles within the team.
Sure.
Like, so like you'll have your main chain blocker, and their job is they will face off against the chain and be the one who's like hopefully going to control it. You have, like, for example, my team plays with a chain support or mid guard, someone whose job is to protect the chain player. So like if they throw a shot and that shot gets blocked, the mid guard steps in to make sure that no one else hits the chain player.
Gotcha.
Right, while that chain's coming back or on cooldown.
Yeah, while they're like recovering peacefully.
Yeah, really our only limitation is that you can only have a maximum of 1 chain on each side of the field at any point in time. Otherwise, you can run any different combination of gear you want, and that includes some teams or some plays who will run without a chain at all.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, ours are pretty fixed. Like you have one drive or sword and board. You have one heavy, which is your polearm, one slash, which is Florentine, 2 swords,
sticks.
and then one chain, which is chains.
Either 2 flails or 1 flail in a regular 36-inch stick.
Yeah. So, okay. In jugging, like we play something where there's a pinning system. Basically, like you kill someone, they're down for their count, or you can, lay a weapon on them and then they are pinned. They don't get to get up even after their count. Does that work for you guys as well?
It's pretty much exactly the same.
Okay. Oh, great, cool.
I was hoping you had to keep them wrestled to the ground or something. Like
they can still keep their count going. So like if they've been down for 5 and you release your pin, then they can get up immediately. But like for the most part, it's kind of the same as you just have to have you're pumping on them in a legal hit zone, so you can't just have it resting on their head or something.
Right. Yeah.
Makes sense.
So let's.
And you have to be holding it in a like legal manner to hit. So we have a rule where everything except obviously the sword and shield, you have to have like 2 hands on it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Otherwise, your hits don't count.
Oh wow.
Yep, and that works the same with our pinning system. So if you get lazy and you take a hand off of it and you're just kind of resting lazily there, someone will whack you.
Capitalize on that.
Nice.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even think about that being. I mean, I guess that kind of plays into the single touch. Like your hits have to be something that is, you know, semi-substantial. I want to scale back for a second and talk about the scope of this, because you, Claire, you mentioned that you started in Ireland and that the game originally started in Germany. How ubiquitous is Jugger? Because I mean, it seems like it's in more places than Amtgard in a lot of cases.
So yeah, there's definitely. I think last time we counted, and obviously COVID did a number on like the starting, like the kind of the nascent teams around the world. But I think there's like somewhere between 19 and 20 countries playing Jugger. It's largest in Germany and Spain. Like those places, you like literally have a team in every city.
That's
cool.
That's actually really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, from what I hear, just reputationally, and Claire actually playing internationally definitely has more experience than me. But from what I understand, there's well over 100 teams in both Germany and Spain individually.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we had at the last World Championships where I captained the U.S. team, we had 70 teams show up.
Jeez.
Oh wow.
From like I think mostly Germany, but like also a lot from Spain, from Romania, from Lithuania, from France, from Switzerland. Don't think we had anyone from Sweden, but they have a big team. A bunch of my friends are starting the team up in Denmark. So yeah, it's.
So I gotta ask, out of raw personal curiosity, how did the U.S. do in the World Championships?
Oh, we got. I think we got like 37th.
God, this is the death of American exceptionalism. No, I'm kidding.
You know, we don't usually get to travel with like everyone we'd like to.
Sure. Yeah. That's a big deal.
We kind of had to like every time that team has traveled, we've kind of had to like scrounge together a group of whoever's available.
Yeah. Hey, you know the rules. You've got a passport, right? Get on the plane.
You've got a passport and money. Let's go.
Yeah. I can see that being kind of a barrier. It's interesting because there are like to equate this to something Amtgard, right? There are places in the U.S. where the fighters are considered to be like the best. Like if you go to Texas, a lot of people think that's where the best fighters come from. And obviously everybody thinks they have the best fighters, but you know, you move around and you will definitely see a difference in play styles and talent and everything else. Is there, because this game operates on an international scale, do you think there's a bigger difference in meta from like country to country, or is it pretty varied just team by team?
Yeah, there's a big difference in meta, at least from the footage that I watch, especially in like Germany. They lean very heavily towards the Q-tip out there. Lots of very Q-tip heavy teams. There's also a very big difference in philosophy, not necessarily like positive or negative, but because Germany can have a practice that's as big as our national tournaments, the level of competitiveness out there is definitely a very high bar. You know, they sometimes have 8 to 15 teams out for a regular practice, and our tournament last month was 12. So
yeah. Wow. So I guess this is kind of a fundamental difference between like I guess our two games. Your practice, is that kind of just a couple teams thing, or is this a weekend thing that like everyone in the area who plays kind of shows up, or do you like use pickup teams? Do you try to keep together on your named teams, or what's the kind of deal with that?
I mean, my practice right now is just like whoever shows up, and we hope to have enough people to play games.
Gotcha.
Otherwise, we'll just like work on skills, field awareness, dueling, just like anything we can, really. Like my organization's still pretty new. Like I've been moving around a lot and haven't had a huge amount of just like time to dedicate to building a team.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So
out here. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Out here in Colorado, things are a little bit more regimented, I guess. We have the very fortunate blessing of having a lot of teams here in Colorado. So I practice every week, and unless it is blizzarding out, we host that practice. We have several teams who do practices every single week in Colorado Springs, Aurora, Arvada, and Littleton, and we're pretty much all out there playing every day or every week. There's probably 3 or 4 practices per week. And yeah, usually we have enough players out here to play at least a full game of Jugger, and we'll run drills and stuff like that, but we'll also play pretty much every week.
Gotcha.
So what does it take? Because we actually have a lot of Amtgard parks in Colorado, and like I said, Amtgarders are quite familiar with the game. If they wanted to come play Jugger, what would it take for them to assemble a team, or could they show up and get on a team, pretty easily? What does it take if somebody wants to jump in and try this out?
So at least in Colorado, it would be extremely easy. All of our practices are open and free, and we will provide all gear for you. So if you guys come out, find us on social media, and show up to a game, we will let you play for free, and you can get yourself on a team and fall in love with this sport. I'm sure Claire can also speak to the coastal region, but the Jugger Alliance of America, is that what we're sticking with right now, Claire, for now? We're putting together an organization. I mean, the JAA has been established for a long time, but we're really trying to push as an organization towards trying to foster new teams and getting them out there. One of the hardest parts is the fact that we do have very standardized equipment. And so, you can't always just bring your LARP stuff and get to play a game. So we're trying to work on resources to provide that equipment and help new teams across the country where we aren't currently established start playing Jugger.
Okay. Is there a place where people can go online and find, because we'll put it in the show notes below as well, but like weapon construction guidelines and rules and everything else, is there like a unified place for that yet?
There are a few. Okay. I can give you at least my resource on that. I'm hoping we will get this together very soon.
Okay.
But again, I do have some visual aids in case we needed it. So the Colorado Jugger website. This does have everything that you would need for Jugger. We have our rule book as well as the national rule book. We have all of our social medias on here, the rules and how-tos on how to play the game, and all of our social media contact. Now, that being said, you do not need to be a Coloradan to kind of get involved through this link. We have contacts with every other person who plays across the country. So if you're hanging out in Massachusetts and you want to start a Jugger team, this can still be the place to start, and we'll get you pointed in the right direction.
Okay.
Gotcha. Okay.
Sorry, I got kind of distracted because I watched a man make like an 8-foot vertical leap there, and that was super
I believe
cool.
that was Conda. Yeah, he's got some flying skills. Yep.
Jeez. I think it happens again here in a second. So have you guys thought about partnering with Come Try LARP?
Actually, I don't know if I'm extremely familiar with that. Claire, do you have any on that?
Okay.
I think for us, I think in Portland, I think our relationship with the LARP community is not great.
Fair.
We've been trying to get them to like do stuff together for a while, and there's really just not been a lot of interest.
Yeah, I think for you guys specifically, the Amtgard, Dagahir, and Belgarth and Hearthlight, the true combat LARPs are really your target audience as far as crossover goes.
Yeah.
The lightest touch ones, as far as my experience goes, is just probably not going to be that, because you guys have a sports oriented mindset basically. So, but the Come Try the LARP thing is just kind of an aggregate site for all foam fighting to.
It's not even foam fighting. Like if they're like, they've even got like the lightsaber academies on there,
that,
and the armored combat league, stuff like that. But ComeTryLARP.com, it's a website that I don't know if he was an Amtgarder first when he did it, but
I think so. Yeah.
It's one of our guys in the Southeast here actually put together a site where basically if you are interested in doing any kind of foam combat or fighting or anything like that, you can go find a park there. You can just say, here's my address, and it'll tell you what's close. And then if you are a park that does that, you can list yourself there so other people can find you.
Okay.
So it's kind of cool. Just, if anybody's like, I want to do some kind of LARPing, and I know, I know that Jugger probably isn't directly a LARP because you're not playing a role, but it would still be cool to see it up there just so people could find it. But yeah, I think like Jeff said, I think finding Amtgarders is going to be your Dagahir players, Belgarth players. Those are going to be your targets for sure. Just because we're already familiar with it, you know.
No, absolutely.
Like looking on Come Try LARP, and I am seeing like more like the Wasteland Jugger events being posted up there.
Oh, okay.
Is there a difference between that and Jugger as we're talking about it now, or is Wasteland just different?
So Wasteland Jugger is Jugger that's really more focused on being as screen accurate as possible.
Oh,
Okay.
So like big rubber tire pauldrons and improvised armor, like full contact. So as you'd expect, like the barriers to entry are a lot higher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And just like the level of physicality is much higher.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not nearly as common. Like I think there's like 3 places in the world that it's currently kind of regularly played, which is LA, Atlanta, and Prague.
Oh, interesting.
Prague.
Yeah.
LA, yeah. Atlanta, sure. Prague. One ready.
I think Prague actually has like the biggest and most regular like Wasteland Jugger scene.
Interesting.
Okay. We had for a while, we had an Amtgard group in Croatia. They just pop up sometimes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, I had not entertained the idea until just now that there were different forms of Jugger that get played. I kind of thought it was just like our version and then the real version or whatever, but there's different. Are there other versions that people play out there, or is it just kind of like those are the big 2?
Yeah, so there's kind of some rulebook variations all over. Actually, probably the biggest debate that we're currently having in the entire Jugger community with the JAA is us trying to figure out a unified rule set that every single state in the United States is going to play under together. So you find regional variations from place to place, and we do differ from how Europe plays Jugger a little bit too.
Oh, okay.
I do think the biggest difference, though, is Australia. Australia plays Jugger by name, but they have some weird, crazy rules. They do a thing called a Ring of Fire, where your quicks have to wrestle over the skull, and then one of them exits the ring, and that's when everyone else is allowed to go fight each other. So you like have to watch them duel. They also play with a chain and a short, which it sounds like you guys do something kind of similar to that, having a chain and a stick as well. So yeah, they've got the most wild and wacky rules compared to the rest of us.
Gotcha. Interesting.
Okay. So... Okay, we kind of play, again, when I say Amtgard has like Southern style and the rest are wrong, we do the Ring of Fire thing. Where you gotta
sort of.
Yeah, like you can't move past the midway point of the field until they leave the thing and whatever. What are the differences between European jugging and I guess North American jugging? Claire, you can probably
Claire, do you want to talk on that? Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of them are pretty minor. There's like, certain rules on when you can rise from a pin, or like whether the staff can whether the end of the staff counts. So it's like relatively minor things that sometimes get changed every so often. Like one of the things that we just changed in our rules is something that's allowed in Spain but not allowed in Germany, is that if you wrapped up the chain, you can hit anyone rather than just the chain player.
Oh, I never thought about that.
Yeah, so in Germany and the US previously, you could only legally hit the chain player. Now we've changed it to mirror Spain, where you can hit anyone who's coming at you.
Interesting. So the chain almost acts as like a taunt if you're playing on that other rule set where you have to fight that person once they've got you wrapped up.
Yeah, because they have your stick in and they can just pull it.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Things have, I think, kind of homogenized a little bit over the last few years. I know that Colorado in particular, as we've adjusted our rulebook, a lot of it has been to come in line with the way that Europe is playing. So there's only a few kind of major variations left here and there. We do have some interesting ones, although from what I understand, I think this might be illegal in Europe now too, but they did a lot of like Pomfin variation that obviously we don't do in America. So like the slash, for example, they're allowing you to shorten that so that players with shorter arms still have the the maneuverability advantages. And they also play with something called an N tip, where they shorten.
That hasn't been a thing for years.
Yeah, so that hasn't been a thing for years.
Well,
but,
no, wait, I gotta
did
know
have
what the N
those
tip
things.
was.
Okay, so it was the same thing as the Q-tip, so our double-edged Darth Maul staff.
Yeah.
But they shortened one end of it, so it still had a strike surface. It was just smaller, so that you could maneuver it a lot easier. It was really interesting.
That almost seems like an Amtgard like pole arm directly, because it's just got the pommel on one end and the strike, like the pommel.
I haven't seen an end tip since 2015.
Okay,
Gotcha.
It's kind of.
You said that, and I was like, that wasn't that long ago. No, that was a long time ago.
Even in Germany, like they used to have like North German rules and South German rules.
Right.
And they kind of brought that all together. Like Australia's been bringing their Jugger like a lot closer to everyone else. So I think there's definitely, as more teams travel internationally, there's kind of a greater sense that we kind of want to all play by the same rules, because it's really confusing when we don't.
Yeah, I can see that for sure.
Plus, you've got more people to play the game with, right? If you're all playing on the same rule set, you have more teams to face off against. As two people that have worked with Amtgard International's like governing board that does all 50 states, getting everybody to agree on that rule set's going to be a tough time, but I empathize with you, because that is going to be a challenge.
Yeah, it's been a fight, but thankfully, the last couple tournaments. I mean, we have some huge tournament events all across the country, and we're getting more and more of them. It used to kind of just be the Mile High Open, which was the big Colorado tournament, and Dry Heat, which was the big Arizona tournament. But we've got like Fog of War, we've got Portlandia, Oklahoma is looking at starting a tournament. We have one in Costa Rica next March. Chicago is putting one on next month.
Oh, wow.
So as we're getting more and more competitive events, a lot of us kind of really do have the sense that we want to try and come together and be a bigger unifying body.
Okay, first off, I want to point out your events have the best names.
I know, right?
The Mile High Open sounds like something I want to win. It's so good. But walk me through this. So somebody comes out, they get familiar with Jugger. What's their tournament experience going to be like? Assuming they have to travel a little bit, do you guys day trip it? A lot of Amtgarders will, drive 4 hours each way, or do you guys, is it an all weekend tournament? Like, how does this work for most players?
So usually, it's a whole weekend thing, because like the closest tournament, like here in Portland, the closest tournament to us is Fog of War down in the Bay Area. So that's a 12-hour drive. So we're not going to go there for just a day.
Sure.
We're
I was going to say when I did Dry Heat in February, and this was the biggest mistake of my life, but I left at 7 p.m., I think, drove for 13, 14 hours, and showed up at the field in time to grab a stick and play. And that was a big mistake.
I did that once, driving from Portland to Denver for a game day. That was rough.
Y'all, the smell never leaves your car. You think it's gone, but you just got used to it. And someone new gets in and they're like, it smells like balls in here. And you're like, I know.
But yeah, they are big weekend events. We try and book most of them on holiday weekends, because we tend to play for 10 to 12 hours, both Saturday and Sunday. So it's pretty hard to fly out on Sunday and still make it back to work on time.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and one of the things that like we kind of value, like as a community, getting people to like come to tournaments who like maybe wouldn't be able to like afford a hotel room. So we've like most of the time we'll have people hosting. So there's very few tournaments I've been to where I've actually had to like book my own accommodation.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Yep. I think we housed something like 60 to 70 Juggers last month for the Mile High Open for free. We pile them into houses and apartments, and we make sure that everybody's got a place to stay.
That's super cool. Yeah.
Super cool move on your community's part too, because it's sometimes kind of, awkward to do that, but that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
when my question is, like, when people show up to your tournaments, do you just do brackets and get like a final four that way, or is there a ranking system going into it?
Every tournament is a little different. The structure that we just ran our tournament with, and I think Claire can speak to this, that it was maybe a little exhausting this time around. It was the biggest tournament we've ever had with 12. Usually our tradition has been day one, everybody plays each other in a round robin, and that determines seeding. And then day 2, we do a double elimination bracket to determine our champion based off of that seeding.
Gotcha.
We were ambitious this year, and everybody wanted to play each other. I mean, we're all coming out from across the country. We all want to get a game in with each other.
Yeah.
So we did the full round robin. And by the time we got to game 9 on day 1, I think most of us were pretty close to passing out. So we had to make a couple of adjustments.
Yeah, what do you I guess you just have 6 separate fields going on at the same time, and you just sort of...
We did 3, yeah.
Jeez.
So
I'm tired for you.
yeah, what's the field size and like time frame? Is it like, because we do 300 stones with 100 in between each round, so I don't know if you guys do something similar or anything like that.
So so the field is 20 by 40 meters, so a half a square. We kind of switched in the last few years to doing a lot more based on sets rather than stones.
Okay.
So like you have to you score 3 points to win a set, win 2 sets to win the game.
Okay.
So that
yeah, our tournament setup right now is that we did all of seeding using sets, and then we still ran our tournament bracket via stones.
Okay.
And stones for us are 100 stones per half, and assuming our sports are similar enough, our stones are in 1.5 second intervals.
Yeah, that's roughly ours too.
Okay.
Ours are in as fast as the guy throwing them can count.
They're not throwing them, but yeah.
yeah, it's a guy hitting a
drum or something.
We have an app nowadays for that.
I've been thinking about looking for it, to be perfectly honest.
Yep. I mean, if you look at the Jugger Stones app, is on the Play Store.
Oh,
So
yeah?
it'll count for you.
Hold on.
We're dumb and never looked.
I never bothered to look. Give me a
Because
second.
I've literally thought about, like, so I started playing Amtgard roughly 20 years ago, which is ridiculous. But so about 4 years in, I was like, oh, why don't we just record this and play it on a boombox or something, right? Like, instead of having someone go hoarse trying to do this. One stone, you know.
Oh, I guess it's Android only. Get it on your phone.
Fair enough. I'll do that later.
Also, though, if you are on YouTube, if you just look up Jugger Stones, we also have one in a 60-minute loop for you that you guys can use that are merited out.
Do you instead have an ASMR version that we might listen to go to sleep?
Yeah, I'll just be whispering.
Yeah.
Stone.
Why can't you sleep? I don't know. I'm at 100 and I got to start over. It's a 24-hour loop. I don't fucking know. Oh, God. So, okay. I noticed, too, when you showed the website there were a lot of, like, jerseys and stuff like that. Does every team come up with their own design? Is there, like, a clothing requirement? Is it just jerseys alone?
Yeah, we jerseys are actually a pretty big part of the sport.
I'm in.
Yeah, I know, right?
We really like trading jerseys is a big deal.
Oh, really?
So I have probably, I've been playing for 8.5 years.
Oh, that's...
I have probably like 20 Jugger jerseys that I've like traded with teams all around the world.
So when you trade, like it's not a like I'm leaving the team and betraying everyone. It's just like we're trading as like a thing of respect or like a collection thing.
People bring like multiple jerseys to tournaments to like someone they've like really liked playing against or whatever, and like you swap jerseys.
Okay,
it's become a really huge tradition in our sport. I'll kind of try and show off my teams here. I wanted to bring it out for the podcast since I knew we were going to be on camera. But yeah, we all go really heavy into our jerseys and our jersey design. Most of us get our logos professionally designed, and we get all these printed for our teams. And we usually have like 3-4 jerseys when we go to a tournament or an event, so we can swap with a bunch of different people.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that idea.
Thanks for being on WAK, a podcast where we now only talk about Juggers. It's so good.
No, I mean, I've legitimately been on YouTube and things like this for years and years looking to kind of play, but not necessarily start an actual Jugger thing. And I haven't. There was a group in Nashville, Tennessee, who thought about starting. I don't think they actually did, though, unfortunately. Because Gorg, I think, made all their gear.
Did he really? That tracks, honestly. Makes sense.
Do you guys, actually, that's a good question. Do you guys have, like, a merchant that's kind of a big... Like, for us, we have, like, Foam Optimum Sports or whatever, and
Yeah,
Gorg and a couple of Smiling
Foamworks
Foamworks and stuff like that. So
Whatever Warlord
think-
Sports turned into.
that's the foam one, the Foam Optimum or whatever.
I think Marcus on the Phoenix Lights, correct? Claire is the one who kind of has the storefront, or who is that?
Josh. It's
Josh. Okay, yep. So
Yeah.
Josh Hawk in the Phoenix Lights has kind of their own Pomfin store, and I think they even have like a web page and stuff set up.
Yeah,
They make some gorgeous equipment.
Like his on his trade name is on that, but for the most part, everyone just sort of makes their own.
Right.
Gotcha.
Very DIY. I remember whenever Warlord Sports or whatever tried to go into Jugger weapons for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
They were really expensive.
yeah.
And
It
we
was
were
the
like-
same when they did Amtgard gear.
So we all were like, no, we can make the same stuff. We can make like lighter stuff for like $15.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
you're definitely paying for convenience there, you know.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We have like most teams will have like their gearsmith, like someone who's like dedicated, who's like really likes crafting.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we have 3 or 4 people out here in Colorado who really love making sticks, and then they will usually kind of schedule a day and we'll all just come out and build a whole bunch of equipment together. I definitely don't want to put this out as like a guarantee.
Sure.
But if you guys or anyone else who's listening to this podcast is interested in Jugger, I really recommend reaching out to me or any of the members of the Colorado Jugger League. We are very seriously talking about putting together starter packs for teams that are made at cost. So as long as you guys pay the shipping, we will send out a starter pack to you guys, and you can play a full game of Jugger and start a team.
How long have I talked about doing this for Amtgard?
I know, right?
I swear to God.
I mean, Gorg does that to some degree.
Yeah, like a startup park
Mm-hmm.
pack or whatever. That's really cool. I like that. I want to. I have one more question about jerseys, and I don't know if this question's morbid or not. Is there ever a point where like you retire a jersey and like hoist it up to the rafters? Is that like a, you know, there?
Yeah, every team's got their own tradition on this.
Okay.
So we actually have not an official team. It's a team called Red City that we made that was basically if any new players show up to a club, they get a jersey and they get to play on a team for that day.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
Red City was our everybody who's new gets to play on a team. But with that, we picked a bunch of very specific names. Some of them were characters from the movie, and some of them were people who were very important to Jugger. One of whom passed away before I ever even started playing Jugger. So we've since retired their jersey, and that's kind of always been a memoriam and a very special jersey number here in the Colorado community.
Oh, that's really cool.
See, that's what I like about the jerseys, right? Is it has the significance when somebody wears it enough. I think that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and as for me, there's some jerseys that I'm considering just sort of retiring because I don't think they could survive another trip through the wash.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have that same problem.
Yeah, Amtgard garb goes through a pretty tough life before it gets.
And some of them have my dead name on them, so I'm like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I can understand that for sure.
Yeah, like that's completely understandable. So, okay, where was I? Because I that question about the jerseys was stuck in my brain, and I could not let it go. Making gear for starter parks. Hold on, I'm just trying to remember where we were.
I got one.
Save me.
So do you do like you said you do a weekly practice, which is kind of a pickup game kind of thing, right? When you do tournaments, do you have like a tournament schedule that you guys try to keep, or is it like, hey, this group is just kind of going to host a tournament, so like good luck? Or
Try is the optimal word there.
right?
Yes, we do. In fact, hang on while I'm answering this. Let me see if I can pull up our captain's chat and pull up our tournament schedule.
Oh,
for
I
Ohio
think I kind of remember. So yeah, we've kind of. So this 2022 was the first year where we had 4 tournaments in a year,
Mhm.
and we've kind of talked about kind of standardizing them into one tournament every season.
Mhm.
So we have Phoenix in the winter.
Mhm.
Because otherwise, it's too hot to go to Phoenix any other time of the year.
Sure.
California in the spring because that's the best because they're mostly students there, so it's the best time for them.
I gotcha.
And then Colorado in the summer and Portland in the fall to finish up the calendar.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Interesting.
So that's sort of like the Jugger circuit nowadays.
Yep.
Okay, so this is just hit me as well. So because you have the nationally known teams, you guys all kind of come together and have these tournaments. when somebody wins, they walk away with like a trophy they have to bring back next year and defend, or like how does that work?
We're trying to get our trophy systems to be cooler and cooler. Yes, we actually have some metalsmiths here in Colorado who hand forged us a trophy for this year's Mile High Open, and it is it is absolutely gorgeous. So yes, the Phoenix Lights won it this year, so they get to keep the trophy. I think we're doing something like a month or two, and then they're going to send it back to us. We're going to get a plaque made that's going to have all like Stanley Cup style. That's got all of our MHO champions on it and stuff like that. And then our local Colorado Jugger League also has a trophy donated by the same people. So we've got kind of our local and our national one.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you have the tournaments kind of broke up in like a national tournament and then in like a local or regional tournament section. Is that right?
At least for Colorado, yeah. We're at 6, almost 7 teams just in Colorado. So this last year we've started kind of our own local circuit where we play one game against every single team every month for 3 months, and then we have kind of a finals to determine our champion.
Gotcha. So you have like a league set up basically?
Yep, basically. Yep.
Gotcha. Cool.
Now, Claire, I saw you grab something, and I just know it's a metal.
You know, for Portland, we did origami stars.
Oh, neat.
So it's less permanent, but like do something a little different, just because everyone else in their tournament is doing something with metal. So we were like, what if we do something different, something with paper?
That's awesome, actually. I'd like hold that up so the camera can see it real quick, because like this is actually pretty intricate. I can barely make it. Does it move? It moves.
It nominally moves, but there's a staple in it, so it doesn't move like it should.
Okay.
It will like open up like this.
That's actually really cool. I like that.
I can barely make a serviceable paper airplane, so this is magic to me.
And then here I can go ahead and get this. It's a blurry picture, but it's the first one I could find. This here shows our Mile High Open 2022 trophy there with the purple jersey in the middle. Yeah, hold on. And then we award dog tags at our events. So we've got our Colorado Jugger League logo, and then what you won on that. So we have a couple of different awards. Like we'll do our podiums. Every single team member gets one of these that are individually engraved for them. And then we have an award for the spirit of Jugger, the player and the team that we feel like embodies the spirit of the game the most over the tournament.
Oh, that's cool. I was about to...
I don't think we could win, but we could get that one. I'm going to hurt your leg. I'm going to break your leg.
So we have like an award system for crafting and other various aspects of the game. I'm going to assume you guys probably don't exactly, given that. But do you have like a structured who makes the best equipment kind of thing? Because you were mentioning the dog tags, so it's just kind of analogous.
I know that Miguel, who is one of the biggest spokespersons for our league and internationally, he's really interested in trying to do a bunch of side awards next year.
Gotcha.
Obviously, coordinating a really huge tournament and trying to get all of this stuff ordered this year took most of our focus. But yes, the goal is next year we want to try and get a bunch of different awards going.
Okay, cool.
So I'm going to ask the question that Jeff meant to ask here, which is, what is the highest award in Jugger a person can earn?
That's an interesting question. In my personal belief and opinion, I do think that the individual Spirit of Jugger award is the best award that you can get.
That's what I was thinking.
Because that means that's the person who really did make the most effort during that tournament or that event to be just the coolest human being and the best sport. We have a player, their nickname is Rat. And I think they have successfully won Spirit of Jugger at every single tournament this year.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which I am very, very proud of. They are on my team, which makes me extra happy and extra proud. They are just a phenomenal human being. And they also traveled to the most tournaments this year out of any other Jugger player. So
all of them.
Yep, all of them. Yep.
Jeez. So you mentioned California, Phoenix, Colorado. What's the East Coast Jugger scene like? Where can we go if we're on the East Coast? Is there anything major?
There was a team for a while in Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Okay.
That kind of fizzled through COVID. We have some people who are like one of the California alumni is out in Maryland right now, and we're hoping to get him to start something. There's another a Phoenix player who's moving to Virginia, we hope he can start something out there. And there's not a lot. And currently, I guess, on all of the East Coast of North America, like the only like established team is up in Halifax, Canada.
Well, okay.
Okay, yeah.
This is a thing we've discovered with other foam fighting, because there's Amtgard, and then there's Belagarth, and there's Dagger here, and they're all roughly the same game as far as the fighting goes. Like, Amtgard has a magic system and everything else, but in general, they're all kind of the same game. And what we've determined is it's kind of just whatever was there when you started playing. And so if Jugger was already big out west, it's going to just get bigger out west until somebody takes it over to the east. So that's interesting.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, we're starting, we've got Chicago and Oklahoma now, and they're like pretty serious. So we're hoping like.
Well, ice is down. Like,
is he?
We have I have a friend who's in Charleston, I think. I can't remember.
Geography is my
weakest. Yeah, it's one of my weakest as well.
Help you here.
And his group is like, we should have the same real Jugger equipment and play. And so he's basically put out the challenge for us. So maybe we can get that done.
For real. Get in touch with us. We will get it done for you guys, for sure. You got 5 bodies you want to put on a field, we'll help make it happen.
Are your quicks allowed to use Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu on each other, or no?
It depends.
What are we talking here?
Jeff's gonna try to fold somebody's jersey with them still in it. Is that allowed or no?
I mean, we do allow like once you've made contact, you're allowed to sweep the leg. So like once you've kind of like got them in a hold, you can sweep the leg. Again, as long as you go like, you can't spear tackle anyone, and you can't go above the neck. Other than that, I think.
You also, you can't fight,
right?
So no fists, no elbows, no kicking, no headbutts. And then we also kind of have some safety structure in that you cannot like tilt another quick off their axis unless you are also going with them. So if you're tackling, that's fine, but you can't like pile drive them by rotating.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, Claire, yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, when I was in Ireland, my coach over there, he was also from a rugby background, and was like a relatively well-known sports photographer. So he called in some favors and like brought in like the #1 judoka in Ireland to come.
That's cool.
How to, like contact and how to fall correctly and all that sort of stuff.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah.
Just my little partial foray into judo. It seems like those guys are like down for anything. But let's see. So for recruiting for you guys, where have you found like the best place to recruit at?
I think that really varies per region, and I'll let Claire speak on the West Coast here in a minute. But for Colorado, one of the biggest places ended up for me being school. Up until last summer, I was a high school teacher, and I managed to start a Jugger class as a PE credit, and that has now spawned a team and a half. Yep, it was pretty cool. It was an awesome class. We had like 30 kids in it playing, and we ran tournaments and stuff. And now most of them have gone on and formed teams, which is awesome.
Oh, that's excellent.
We have a second high school team here in the country, or here in Colorado too. So that's kind of been our big one. We've hit up some like anime conventions and stuff, really tried to appeal to nerd culture, and it can be hit or miss.
Yeah.
I know that getting people to run is always an interesting challenge.
Yeah.
But as an anime video game nerd who you couldn't pay to run before you got me on a Jugger field, like I get it, but it's so worth it once you start. But yeah, Claire, do you want to talk a little bit about the West Coast?
So far, like our main source of recruits has been Meetup. It's been the best one. That and just like poaching players from the team out in Eastern Washington.
Okay.
Like they want to leave Eastern Washington because it's like basically mini Arizona.
Gotcha.
Portland. So we're like, here, come play with us.
Yeah, there's go ahead.
We went to Pride this year and had a booth, and like we got a lot of interest and like loads of people like out there hitting each other with sticks, but so far none of them have showed up to a practice. So
Gotcha.
I mean, I guess just at this point, just like letting people know it exists.
Yeah, I mean, spread the word, and then you're
Yeah.
kind of casting a net into a bigger and bigger sea until you get,
We've got a thing called Fun with Friends in Knoxville.
Yeah, the Facebook group.
And they do a lot of sports stuff. So I don't know if you guys have something like that. That might be a way to check. Because as far as Knoxville goes, if we were going to start it, that's probably where I would start.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a bad idea. We've talked about that a lot and never done it.
Yeah, I think the fundamental problem with Portland and recruiting people here is just like people in Portland always have their own, like they have their weird thing that they do. Whether it's like acro yoga or like cornhole or whatever, like people come here with their weird thing and they're not necessarily looking for another weird thing.
Yeah. Could you combine the weird things? Could you do yoga and then jug? That might be good.
Absolutely.
We did that for a while with the quad ball team. Like one of our coaches actually was the founder, was like the head of the Cascadia quad ball for a while before that team kind of dissolved as a result of COVID. So like there was a lot of crossover there, which is kind of dried up as that team kind of went away, unfortunately.
I think my biggest life goals for Jugger when it comes to recruitment is I want to see us on either the Ocho or that Netflix series We Are the Champions.
Yes.
Because I think it is the perfect fit for either one of those, and that would just be perfect.
Absolutely.
Listen, disc golf's made it to the Ocho. You've got a chance.
Dude, one of the guys in Florida was in like a sports bar.
Yeah.
And it was on Chive, right? But it was Warlord Brett in one of his ACGL things, the heavy armor fighting thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's a legit chance. Like,
yeah, I mean, I was gonna say like, there's probably some crossover with the Ultimate Frisbee crowd too. Like those guys get kind of rowdy.
That might be.
Maybe.
Actually, speaking of recently, we have a great relationship with them. We haven't gotten too many Juggers, but we have gotten a few. We did about 3 months ago, we did the halftime show for a roller derby event.
No shit.
Ooh.
And that was phenomenal crossover. So we had a booth there, and then we played some indoor Jugger right in between the roller derby bouts, and a bunch of the roller derby people were totally into it. So
we got a derby team too, and I've been a couple times. It's really fun. Yeah, so we should definitely consider that for for us as well.
Considered roller derby as a crossover,
at all, but it's 100% true.
Yeah, that would work. Okay, so we are coming up to the point in the show. We're almost at an hour. That is fucking flown by.
Yeah, absolutely. Didn't think it so at all.
So we typically start to wind down. We want to ask you your craziest, most epic story from Jugger. Typically we'll relate it to Amtgard, but for you all, we want to hear like the craziest Jugger story.
Yeah, this doesn't have to be like on field. This can be like a weird thing that happened at camp or whatever too.
Right. Before that, because this is always kind of an ambush question, even if we tell you days ahead, nobody has the perfect story. Before that, I kind of want to give you all the free space to, pitch anything here. I know, if you send us some links, we'll put them in the comments below, but is there anything you want to say to, our primarily Amtgard audience that might get them to come out? We have a lot of folks in Colorado that listen, anything that might sort of point them in the right direction.
Yeah, at least on my end, for anyone out there who's listening who does any foam fighting or anything like that, it's the perfect day game for you to come and play. If you're into LARP and you want to travel all weekend and all that stuff, that's amazing, and go do it. And this is wonderful for your downtime in between events. Come out, play with us for a couple hours, have fun, and best of all, we'll provide everything for you and give you a great sense of community. We are one of the most open communities I've ever been a part of. We are even beyond co-ed would be the word. We are ed, right? All of ed. We are 100%, 1000% accepting to any and everyone who wants to come and play this sport. And we are open to all athletic abilities, all foam fighting abilities. If you want to come because it seems fun, please do so. If you want to check us out a little bit, the one thing I definitely would feel like I regretted it if I didn't plug it is our YouTube channel. So the Colorado Jugger YouTube channel is a lot more than just Colorado Jugger, because we host videos from kind of the whole national community. And I hate to toot my own horn for a second, but I did a lot of esports casting before this on the professional level, and I do full commentary and graphic editing for all of our matches. So we have extremely well edited full commentary Jugger videos to watch that give you some how-tos and can kind of let you see some of our best teams in the country play. So if you want to check out what Jugger is all about, I definitely recommend coming here.
Oh wow, even the thumbnails are amazing.
Yeah, right.
Thank you very much.
I'm too lazy to make a good thumbnail, man. I gotta edit and other stuff. I'm lazy. That's amazing. Okay, we will put a link to that in the comments below. Claire, is there anything you want to sort of pitch to the audience, or is that?
Yeah, I just want to mirror what Seabass was saying about community. I've been doing this for 8.5 years, and I have no intention of stopping anytime soon. It's been the best community of any sport I've ever experienced. I love everyone who is a part of it. It's just been so wonderful.
Yeah, that's fantastic. All right, so that's all the time I can buy you. We need crazy stories. We'll kick off with Seabass, and then we'll come back to you, Claire.
Oh man. Okay. I think. Oh, this is tough. Okay, I'm gonna tell two stories.
Sure.
I'm gonna tell the kind of heartwarming story, and then I'll tell the ridiculous story. So the kind of heartwarming story. We have some players here in Colorado who, probably underselling their own talents, are some of the best players in the world. In particular, Miguel is just an absolutely godlike chain player, and those people have never once been gatekeepers with their knowledge. And Miguel in particular, I spent about 1.5 years practicing every single week with him, and he would throw every insane trick shot at me to let me chain break for, probably well over 1.5 years to teach me how to do it effectively and to be a chain break for my team. And it's something that speaks to the community and is something that I love to tell because it's so great. As far as crazy stories go, at the afters for the last Mile High Open, we all decided for some reason that we wanted to have a contest to see who could crush a full watermelon in between their thighs. And we had probably a good 50 to 60 people up on a deck, all on rotation, trying to absolutely just ham this melon in between their thighs. And it was a beautiful and glorious moment.
I did this over the 4th of July. I think I have a video of it.
Excellent. I've yet to try. Probably should.
It's hard. It hurts. It hurts so bad. It absolutely does. No, that's amazing. Claire, what do you got for us?
Okay, so where do I start? I suppose one of my favorite Jugger memories is so kind of right before I left Ireland, I had randomly saw on like the Jugger forum that the Czech Republic was hosting a tournament in an abandoned stadium that back in like the 80s was the largest stadium in the country. So I like put together a random team of Irish people, and we like flew to this, like, it wasn't even in Prague, it was in like the southern part of the country, and this like ragtag group of like, we didn't even have our proper jerseys because we didn't have time, and just like we go and it's this the stands are crumbling, there's like thistles and nettles in there. And we're just like, we get to like meet the Czech teams, and the Austrian team shows up for the first time, and some of the Bavarian squads. And we were just like, all right, this is what Jugger's about. This like weird adventure to like some just like crazy stadium.
I was gonna say, and it's kind of a crumbling stadium, so it is a very Jugger feel. It's got the post-apocalyptic. Oh, that's great.
All right, Claire, I do have to ask, because I don't know if you'll have one, but you're one of the biggest international players I know. Do you have a goose story? Because if you have a goose story, I feel like you have to tell
so many goose stories.
What is a goose story? Hold on.
Okay, so Goose is a guy who used to play with me in Ireland. He's a singularly ridiculous man, and he's Romanian, but grew up in Spain. And for a while we called him Spanish Dave. But he was like, I'm not Spanish. I'm Romanian. So call me Goose instead, because we had a bunch of Danes. And so I think my favorite Goose story is we've been driving all night after a tournament to get back to the airport. And we had like half a bottle of Malibu rum left. And like, it wasn't worth trying to get it on check bags because all it open. So we we're just like,
oh no,
let's just drink it at 4 a.m. in the airport parking lot.
Yeah.
And so he's like, just like, we had this like berry juice, and he's like mixing it up, and he's like just going around everyone in his like accent, just like pure frozen yogurt. What I think that I like about Goose is the more he giggles when he gives you a drink, the more alcohol is in it.
We have a friend of those. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God.
From what I understand, he has a reputation of going around chanting goose juice nowadays and giving people goose juice. So,
ours was turbo tea.
Turbo tea. I wonder, not the same Goose, right?
No, not
sure
at all.
They can't be. Okay.
That would be impressive.
We have a guy in our game named Goose, and he's a Florida man, so you know, odds are there. Yeah, right. I've never heard Goose Juice though, so I think it's not the same guy, unfortunately. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much. This has been amazing. We will put links in the comments down below. This should go up on Friday, so I'll get everything from you. I saw some of it go up in the Discord. Sebastian, Claire, thank you so much for coming on our show. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us on. It was a ton of fun to talk to you guys.
Yeah, I'm going to roll this outro. I think it's this button. God, this is the old one, and I don't know if I have all the... This is either going to be a round of applause or the outro. Hold up. Hey, everyone. Thanks for listening.
It's the
If you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on
buttons
YouTube
are.
or Spotify to get notified about
been
new
so
episodes.
long. This is
Make
a
sure to
backup.
follow us on Facebook for announcements and more.